Splash. Whoosh. Aoikawa. The white paper boat burst from a quiet pool into moving blue water. The creek narrows suddenly, smooth stones rise. Beneath the surface, sunlight flickers between rushing currents. Everything begins moving faster. The white dandelion bounces inside the boat, up, down, up again. The tiny seeds hold tightly together as the water pulls from every direction. Whoa! Aoikawa, slow down, no chance, not today. The current slips between two bright stones. The paper boat follows, then accelerates. Whoosh! Blue reflections flash across the bow. The boat tilts sharply left, right, left again. A yellow butterfly appears overhead, not following, not leading, only racing with the water. The butterfly climbs, the boat dives, the creek laughs. Run, little boat, run with the water, run with the sunlight, run with the blue. The Aoikawa twists, the paper boat twists. 100 silver ripples scatter across the creek. The dandelion sways wildly, not afraid, almost excited. Ahead, a narrow channel, only one way through. The paper boat enters, water sprays upward. Tiny diamonds explode through the afternoon light. Splash, the butterfly vanishes, then returns, vanishes again. Yellow, blue, yellow, blue. Creek widens, the current relaxes. For a moment, only a moment. The paper boat glides through bright reflections. The white crown settles, the butterfly settles, the sunlight settles, then another bend. The Aoikawa smiles, the adventure begins again. Onward, the white dandelion holds every tiny traveler. For now, only for now. Because somewhere ahead, beyond another blue bend, the river is already planning its next surprise. Flash. Gone. Flash. Gone again. The paper boat drifts through clear water. The duckling waves have finally settled. The white crown rests rests quietly once more. The creek looks calm, too calm. Flash, gone. Flash, gone again. What was that? A silver streak shoots beneath the boat, too fast for a stone, too bright for a shadow, too alive for a reflection. The paper boat turns slightly, the white crown leans over the edge. Nothing, only water. Flash, secrets under the creek, then another and another. A whole school of tiny fish explodes from beneath a stone. Silver everywhere, left, right, forward, back. The water suddenly fills with moving mirrors. Together, flash, the sunlight catches them. 100 tiny sparks scatter through the creek. The butterfly circles overhead, the paper boat circles slightly below, the fish circle everywhere. Nobody seems interested in traveling straight today. A larger fish appears, not large enough to frighten anyone, large enough to create one unexpected wave. Splash! The paper boat bobs upward, the white crown bounces. The fish vanish just as suddenly as they arrived. Silver below, blue above, white between. Becomes quiet again. The fish disappear between stones and sunlight. The paper boat drifts onward. The butterfly drifts onward. The white crown drifts onward. But every now and then, far below, a brief silver flash reminds them that the creek has many travelers. Splash. The paper boat floats into open water. The sky is blue again, the reeds are behind. The white crown rests happily inside the boat. Everything feels calm, too calm. Quack, 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 here they come. A line of tiny ducklings crosses the creek. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Following their mother through bright afternoon water, the ducklings paddle the creek, answers splash, splash, splash. Little feet, little waves, little feet, big trouble. The paper boat rises, then falls, then rises again. The white crown bounces, the yellow butterfly circles overhead, apparently entertained. The ducklings continue unaware, completely unaware to them. It is only swimming to the paper boat. It is a storm. A larger wave arrives. Up the paper boat climbs. The white crown tilts backward. Down the paper boat slides. The white crown tilts forward. The butterfly follows. The rolling motion dancing above each ripple. The ducklings quack. The creek laughs. The paper boat survives. Barely quack, splash, bounce, float. A parade of feathers crosses the afternoon. The little travelers inside the white crown cling tightly together. Not today, definitely not today. The ducklings reach the opposite bank. The waves slowly fade. The water settles, the sunlight settles. The paper boat settles. The white crown becomes round again. The butterfly drifts away, and somewhere ahead, beneath a patch of clear water, a silver flash disappears between stones. Swish. 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 The creek narrows again, not with stones, not with currents, with leaves. Tall green reeds lean over the water. 1, then 10, then 100. The paper boat slides between them. The white crown looks upward. The sky disappears. Left, right, straight ahead. Nobody knows. The reeds sway together. Green walls, green ceilings, green doorways opening and closing with every breeze. The paper boat chooses one path, the creek chooses another. Whoosh! The boat spins sideways through a narrow opening. The white crown leans, then recovers. Swish, swish, which way now? A yellow butterfly appears, then vanishes, appears again, vanishes again. The reeds keep moving, nothing stays open for very long. A dragonfly darts through, gone back again, gone back again. The paper boat tries to follow the reeds. entire maze moves. One path closes, another opens. The paper boat shoots forward, then slows, then turns, then spins slightly. The white dandelion bobs up and down like a tiny captain, trying very hard to look brave. Green everywhere, water below, no sky, no map. Swish, swish, swish. The creek knows the way, the boat does not. Suddenly, sunlight, the paper boat bursts from the reeds into open water. The sky returns, the butterfly returns, the white crown returns to stillness behind them. The green maze sways ahead, the creek bends again, and somewhere beyond the next patch of sunlight, something small is making waves. Swish, drip, drop, trickle, rush. The paper boat glides through bright water. The white crown has finally stopped spinning. The butterfly dances somewhere overhead. The creek seems peaceful again, too peaceful. The little traveler near the top of the white crown notices first. The water ahead is moving faster, not much, just enough. Oh, here we go. The creek narrows, the current gathers, the sunlight flashes between stones. Everything begins moving a little quicker. The paper boat leans forward, the white crown leans forward. Even the butterfly seems curious. Faster, faster, a little faster still. The water slips over a shallow ledge, only a few inches, only a tiny drop. Yet from the boat it looks enormous. The paper boat reaches it for half a heartbeat. It flies, splash, water leaps upward, tiny diamonds scatter through sunlight. The white crown bounces, the boat lands safely, barely. The butterfly races ahead, the current races ahead. The paper boat races too. Splashing stones, silver ripples, dancing reflections. Everything seems alive. The white crown sways wildly. 100 tiny travelers cling tightly together. Not today, not today. Drop, splash, laugh, run. The creek never stays the same for long. The water settles, the current softens, the paper boat drifts into another quiet pool. The butterfly disappears behind the curtain of reeds. The white crown remains perfectly round. One more adventure survived, one more bend ahead, and somewhere beyond the next patch of sunlight, the creek is smiling again. Swirl, twirl, round we go. The paper boat slides around a bend, and suddenly the creek begins dancing, not fast, not slow, round, round, round. A tiny whirlpool spins beside a stone, only as wide as a dinner plate, only as deep as a secret. The white dandelion leans left, then right, then left again. Round and round, round and round, the creek is dancing on the ground. The paper boat enters the spinning water. Once around, twice around, 3 times around. The yellow butterfly returns just in time to witness the confusion. The butterfly zigzags, the whirlpool twirls, the paper boat whirls, the dandelion swirls. Nobody seems worried. Spin, little boat, spin, little crown. The creek has turned into a merry-go-round. A splash of sunlight breaks apart inside the spinning water. Gold circles, silver circles, blue circles, everything becomes circles. The white crown begins laughing silently. 100 tiny seeds shiver together like children on a carnival ride. Round once more, round once more. The whirlpool pulls, the current pushes, the paper boat argues with both, then whoosh, the creek wins. The paper boat escapes the spinning water and shoots forward into open sunlight. Spin, splash, twirl, laugh. The creek knows 1,000 games. 'Cause somewhere ahead the creek is already planning another surprise.
Splash. Spin. The paper boat shoots out of the fast water and glides quietly into a calm pool. The creek grows wider, the current slows, the water takes a long deep breath. The white dandelion stops bouncing. The yellow butterfly disappears beyond the reeds. Everything becomes still, then something moves very slowly. Slow, slower, slower than the creek. Slower than the clouds, slow as a snail. A tiny snail crosses a wet stone. Beside the water, not hurrying, not stopping, not caring about speed at all. The paper boat watches, the white crown watches. Even the creek seems curious. The snail continues. One tiny stretch, one tiny step, one tiny journey. Slow, 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 slow as a snail. The world still moves, just differently. The paper boat remembers the spinning water, the rushing current, the splashes, the laughter. The snail remembers nothing. The snail is busy being exactly where it is. A breeze arrives, the dandelion sways, the butterfly returns briefly. The snail continues, unimpressed. Sunlight slides slowly across the stone. The snail follows it, or perhaps the sunlight follows the snail. It becomes difficult to tell. The paper boat drifts one boat length farther. The snail has moved one snail leg farther. Both seem satisfied. Fast water, slow stone. Fast boat, slow snail. One creek, many ways to travel. The paper boat leaves the calm pool. The current begins to pull again. The white crown trembles. Adventure waits ahead. The snail remains behind, still moving, still traveling, still crossing the same stone. And somehow the paper boat feels a little less hurried than before. A little wave jumps, splash. Another one follows. The white paper boat tilts sideways, then straightens again. The creek is laughing today, not yesterday, not tomorrow, today. A round white dandelion bounces inside the boat, up, down, up again. Not a single seed leaves, but several almost do. Splash! Whoa! Easy there. Splash! Whoa! Not so fast. The paper boat rushes through a narrow channel between two stones. Whoosh! Water sprays upward, tiny diamonds flash in the sunlight. The dandelion sways, the boat spins once, half a turn, 3/4, almost a full circle, then escapes. Round and round, splash and spin, round and round, here we go again. A yellow butterfly appears, gone back again, gone back again. It zigzags across the creek like a piece of runaway sunshine. The paper boat tries to follow it. The creek has other ideas. A sudden current, a quick turn, another splash. The white crown bounces. The butterfly seems delighted. The creek narrows, the water quickens, the paper boat shoots forward. The dandelion leans left, then right, then left again. For one glorious second, the boat becomes a tiny white rocket made of paper and afternoon sunlight. Splash, spin, splash, spin. The creek sings loudly here. The butterfly circles overhead. The dandelion laughs silently. The paper boat races onward. The current slows, the water settles. The boat drifts quietly into a calm pool. The butterfly disappears. The sunlight softens. The white crown becomes still. For now, only for now, because somewhere ahead, another splash is already waiting. Where are you going? Asked the little seed. Everywhere, said the cloud. The afternoon wind carried the little seed through open blue. The creek had become distant. The turtle had vanished around a bend. The paper boat was no longer visible. Then something white drifted beside it. Not a flower, not a feather, not another seed. A small wandering cloud. Slow, quiet, always changing. Where are you going? Asked the little seed. Everywhere, said the cloud, and nowhere. The sky is larger than destinations. The cloud changed shape while they traveled, a hill, a rabbit, a sailboat, a mountain, then something else. The little seed laughed. The seed stayed the same, the cloud never did. Yet somehow they traveled together through the same river of wind. One was carrying rain. One was small, one was vast, yet both belonged to the afternoon sky. Where are you going? Asked the little seed. Everywhere, said the cloud, and nowhere, just wherever the wind decides. The cloud drifted westward. The little seed drifted too. For a little while they shared the same piece of sky. What is this? The little seed whispered. A flower or a memory? The turtle moved slowly through a quiet stretch of shallow water. The little seed rested upon the shell, watching sunlight wander across old markings. Then it saw something. Near the edge of a weathered pattern, a faint shape remained. Not a scratch, not a stone mark. Something softer, something older, almost forgotten, almost gone, yet still there. What is this? The little seed whispered. friend. The shape was pale now, time had worn it thin. Water had softened it, sunlight had faded it. Yet somehow it still held a trace of spring. The turtle said nothing, the creek said nothing. Only the afternoon breeze moved quietly through the grasses, as if some stories preferred to remain half hidden. The seed leaned closer, the shell remained silent. The water kept moving, and somewhere inside that faded mark, a journey still lingered. What is this? The little seed whispered. A flower or a memory? The turtle continued onward, the creek continued onward, and the old mark remained. The little seed settled back upon the shell. The faded shape caught one final ray of sunlight. Then the ripple passed, and the mystery traveled on. Stories in the shell. Where did all these stories come from? The little seed wondered. The turtle moved quietly through the afternoon water. The little seed rested upon the shell. Sunlight drifted across old patterns, etched by years of flowing creeks. Some lines curved gently, some crossed and returned, some disappeared beneath scratches made long ago. The shell looked less like stone and more like a map of rivers, a map of seasons, a map of journeys no longer remembered. Where did all these stories come from? The little seed wondered. Each mark, each curve, each faded line, a thousand creeks seemed hidden there. The turtle never explained, he simply walked one step, one current, one patch of sunlight after another, as if every answer drifted nearby. The dandelion watched from within its white cradle. The creek carried them all through bright reflections and quiet bends. Some stories begin, some stories continue, some stories return without announcing themselves. The creek seemed to know the difference. Where did all these stories come from? The little seed wondered. The turtle smiled quietly. The water shimmered softly, and the shell carried its secrets onward. The seed settled deeper among the patterns. The turtle continued walking, and somewhere beneath the afternoon sunlight, an old story and a new story travel together. A seed on the shell, a tiny white seed landed softly on the turtle's shell. Neither seemed surprised. The turtle moved slowly through the shallow creek. Sunlight wandered across his back. The paper boat drifted nearby. The little seed circled once in the wind, then drifted lower, lower than the clouds, lower than the dragonflies, lower than the dancing air, until at last the tiny traveler touched the shell softly, very softly. The turtle kept walking, the seed kept listening, the creek kept singing. A tiny white seed landed softly on the turtle's shell. Neither seemed surprised, as if the creek had been expecting this all along. The shell was warm from the afternoon sun. The seed settled gently among small patterns written by years of water and wandering currents. The paper boat watched from the nearby stream. The dandelion swayed inside its white vessel. One journey in the sky, one journey in the water, now meeting upon a moving island. The turtle said nothing, the seed said nothing, yet the silence, 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 silence felt strangely familiar, like two travelers sharing the same road for a little while. A tiny white seed landed softly on the turtle's shell. The sunlight shimmered, the creek laughed quietly, and somewhere downstream from a brand new path. Something moved beneath the water, slowly, very slowly. Paper boat drifted through a patch of sunlight. The little seed floated high above the creek. The water seemed quiet, almost sleeping. Then something moved below. Not a fish, not a shadow, not a drifting leaf. A rounded shape gliding gently between stones, dancing reflections. The sea looked down, the boat looked down, the creek kept smiling. Something moved beneath the water, slowly, very slowly, as if it had always known where the creek was going. The shell appeared first, dark and weathered, smooth in some places, scratched in others. The creek had clearly been speaking with it for a very long time. The turtle never hurried, the turtle never stopped. One careful step, one gentle push, one small current after another. The water welcomed him like an old friend. The paper boat drifted, the little seed floated, the turtle walked. Three travelers, three different roads, one creek. Something moved beneath the water, slowly, very slowly. The seed watched, the boat listened, and the turtle continued downstream. The turtle disappeared beneath a ribbon of sunlight. The paper boat drifted on, the little seed drifted on. Nobody spoke, yet somehow they had already met. You've come so far, said the stone. I've never moved at all. The paper boat drifted around a quiet bend. The little seed floated high above the creek, and there, beside the water, a smooth gray stone waited in the sunlight. The stone had watched 1,000 mornings, 1,000 rains, 1,000 drifting leaves. Still, it remained exactly where it was. The seed wondered, the boat wondered, how could anyone stay so long? You've come so far, said the stone. I've never moved at all. You followed rivers, I followed seasons, perhaps. We are both travelers. The paper boat circled once within a quiet pool. The little seed drifted lower, listening. The stone spoke softly in the language of sunlight and water. I've seen dragonflies, I've seen turtles, I've seen flowers float past. I've seen paper boats come and go. The creek remembers more than you know. One traveled through water, one traveled through air, one stayed beside the stream, yet all three were changing. You've come so far, said the stone. I've never moved at all. The seed smiled, the boat listened, the creek carried every story onward. The paper boat drifted away. The little seed rose again. The stone remained beside the water, watching, waiting, remembering. Hey, you're traveling too. The little seed laughed. So are you. The seed floated above, the paper boat floated below. One followed the wind, one followed the water. Neither one seemed to be in a hurry. The creek curved gently through bright grass. The wind curved gently through open sky. Different roads, different rivers, the same afternoon. Up above, down below, travelers everywhere.
traveling to? The little seed laughed. So are you. A river of water, a river of air, both carrying stories somewhere unseen. The paper boat drifted past smooth stones. The sea drifted past drifting clouds. The world looked different from each path, yet somehow the journey felt the same. The seed spun once, the boat turned once, the creek sparkled, the sunlight danced. For a moment they traveled side by side, not together, not apart, just close enough to recognize another traveler. Hey, you're traveling too. The little seed laughed. So are you. The wind kept moving, the creek kept moving, and both travelers followed along. One above, one below, one carried by air, one carried by water. The afternoon held them both for a little while. So this is the world, the little seed whispered. So this is the world. Higher than the grasses, higher than the reeds, the little white traveler floated through warm air. Below, the creek shimmered like a silver ribbon woven through green. The paper boat looked much smaller now, the dandelion too. A tiny white lantern drifting on the water. The seed almost laughed. The world had grown much larger than expected. A dragonfly crossed, a cloud drifted past. Everything seemed to be traveling somewhere. So this is the world, the little seed whispered. So this is the world, water turning, leaves dancing, sunlight wandering without a map.
of wind, invisible, endless, always moving. Far below, the paper boat continued. The dandelion remains, still carrying 99 little journeys, still shining white against the afternoon. The sea looked down once, the creek looked up once. For a moment they seemed to recognize one another. Both were travelers now. So this is the world, the little seed whispered. So this is the world, beyond the water, beyond the bend, beyond everything I thought I knew. The wind carried the tiny traveler onward. The paper boat drifted below. The dandelion swayed gently, and the afternoon opened a little wider. Wait, was that me? The first little seed looked back once, then flew. The paper boat drifted through a patch of sunlight. The creek moved gently, the wind moved gently. Everything seemed quiet until one tiny seed lifted from the dandelion and entered the sky. Only one, just one, a small white traveler floating higher than the boat, higher than the grass, higher than the ripples. The others watched, the dandelion watched, even the wind grew quieter. Wait, was that me? The first little seed looked back once, then flew past the water, past the sunlight, past everything it had ever known. The boat continued along the creek. The dandelion remained almost unchanged, still round, still bright, still holding nearly all its journeys, but not all. Far above the water, the tiny seed danced, not falling, not landing, simply drifting where the afternoon wanted to go. One became a water somehow. Wait, was that me? The first little seed looked back once, then flew past the grasses, past the dragonflies, past the creek's last bend into tomorrow. The paper boat drifted on, the dandelion swayed softly. One tiny space now lived inside the perfect white circle, and somewhere above, the first little traveler was still dancing with the wind. Easy now, little seeds. The wind is only saying hello. The white paper boat drifts a little farther. Sunlight flickers between the ripples. The creek hums softly around the boat. And somewhere nearby, the wind awakens. The dandelion feels it first, a gentle touch, a playful whisper, a question carried through warm afternoon air. The seeds tremble slightly, but none let go. Not today, not yet. The world is still introducing itself. Easy now, little seeds. The wind is only saying hello. Easy now, little seeds. The creek is only showing the way. A dragonfly circles once, twice, then disappears above the grass. The paper boat watches, the dandelion watches. Everything seems curious about everything else. The breeze returns a little stronger now. The white crown sways, tiny parachutes shimmer inside the sunlight. For a moment, it almost happens. Almost. The wind smiles, the creek smiles, the sunlight smiles, and 100 little journeys lean forward together. Easy now, little seeds. The wind is only saying hello. Easy now, little seeds. Your names have not yet been called. The paper boat continues, the creek continues, the afternoon continues.
100 little journeys still sleeping here. A white paper boat rests upon the water. Inside, a round white dandelion holds its breath against the breeze. Every tiny seed still clings together. 100 little journeys waiting. The creek moves first, then the boat, then the sunlight slides across the ripples. The dandelion watches without speaking. The world is already moving, even before departure. Not yet, little travelers, not yet. The water has only just begun its song. Hold on, little seeds, not yet, not yet. The creek bends once, the creek bends twice. There are still new skies to see. Hold on, little seeds. The journey is coming. Dragonflies hover above bright water. Green reflections wander below. The paper boat drifts through pieces of sunlight, while the dandelion remains perfectly round. Somewhere ahead, the creek disappears around another bend. Somewhere ahead, the wind is waiting, but for now, every seed remains exactly where it belongs. 100 little journeys, 100 little dreams, 100 tiny maps written inside the wind. No one knows where they will land, not even the dandelion. Hold on, little seeds, not yet, not yet. The water is calling, the sunlight is calling. The world is opening, one ripple at a time. Hold on, little seeds. The journey is coming. The white paper boat floats farther downstream. The dandelion sways gently, still whole, still waiting. 100 little journeys sleep quietly inside the afternoon light. The paper boat and the dandelion. A white paper boat floats across the water beneath the sky, the color of warm glass
as a single dandelion rests inside, while sunlight dances between the ripples. The creek bends slowly through green reflections. Dragonflies drift above the current. The paper boat follows without asking why. The water already knows where to go. Little paper boat, carry the dandelion, carry the sunlight, carry the breeze. Little paper boat, follow the laughter hidden somewhere beyond the stream. A few white seeds lift into the air. Some ride the wind, some touch the water, some spin gently above the boat like tiny travelers beginning their own songs. The afternoon flows as softly as the creek. Shadows move beneath the grass. The dandelion sways, the boat drifts on. Neither one hurries, neither one stays. Little paper boat, carry the dandelion, carry the sunlight, carry the breeze. Little paper boat, follow the laughter hidden somewhere beyond the stream. A ripple passes, then another. The world grows wider around each bend. Green leaves, bright water, golden reflections everywhere. The boat grows smaller among the ripples. The dandelion watches the moving sky. The creek keeps singing its quiet song through stones, through grass, through light. Little paper boat, carry the dandelion, carry the daylight, carry the dream. Little paper boat, follow the water. The journey itself is enough. A white paper boat drifts farther downstream. The dandelion sways inside the sunlight, and the creek continues its endless song. Who are you? The little seed asked. The shell did not answer. The turtle followed the shallow creek. The paper boat drifted through the sunlight, and resting on the shell, the little sea thought about the faded flower. It was not white, not like me. It was not light enough to ride the wind. It had traveled differently, Yet somehow it had reached this very place. Ooh, before me, long before me, someone else had made this journey. Who were you? The little seed asked a flower, a traveler, a dream carried by the water. The shell did not answer. The old mark rested between sunlight and shadow. The creek touched it gently as if greeting an old friend. The seed watched carefully. The mystery grew larger. Ooh, the turtle moved onward, one step, one ripple, one reflection, as though he had heard the question before many times. The wind knew, the water knew, the turtle knew. Only the little seed did not know. Not yet. Who were you? The little seed asked the flower. Remained silent. The shell remained silent. But somewhere inside the moving creek, the answer continued to travel. The afternoon drifted slowly. The paper boat drifted slowly. The turtle drifted slowly, and upon the shell a tiny white traveler carried its very first question. The creek remembers. The turtle said nothing. The flower said nothing. But the creek remembered. Morning sunlight danced upon the water. The paper boat drifted slowly beside the shell. The little seed remained quiet, thinking about the faded flower, thinking about the question still unanswered. The creek moved gently around the turtle's feet, around the stones, around the grasses, around old memories that never seemed to disappear completely. Some things sink, some things drift, some things remain. The turtle said nothing. The flower said nothing. But the creek remembered.
every small goodbye carried somewhere inside the water. The little seed looked down, the water shimmered. For a moment the faded mark appeared once more between sunlight and moving reflections. Not clearer, just closer. The creek had carried fallen leaves, paper boats, dragonflies, cloud shadows, and long before the little seed arrived, another flower. Not forgotten, not lost, simply carried onward. Like everything else the creek had ever loved. The turtle said nothing, the flower said nothing, but the creek remembered, and the little seed began to understand that journeys do not truly disappear. They simply continue in different forms. The paper boat drifted, the turtle walked, the little seed listened, and somewhere beneath the sunlight the creek carried both stories together. Together. A little pink remained, not much, just enough to be remembered. The paper boat drifted through a quiet curve of the creek. The turtle walked slowly through sunlight and moving reflections. The little seed rested upon the shell, watching. Appeared once more, not white, not green, not gold. A soft trace of something pink, something gentle, something long ago. The water knew it, the sunlight knew it, the seed almost knew it. A little pink remained, not much, just enough to be remembered. A color carried through seasons, a color carried through water. The little seed leaned closer, the shell felt warm, the mark felt older than the afternoon, older than the journey, older than the question that One white flower, one fading color, both travelers, both carried onward. Some flowers ride the wind, some flowers ride the water, yet somehow their paths still touch. A little pink remained, not much, just enough to be remembered. The turtle walked, the paper boat drifted, the creek shimmered, and the old color continued its journey. The little seed closed its eyes, the faded pink glowed softly beneath the sunlight. Not a memory, not a dream, just a trace, still traveling. Seed smiled one day. The paper boat drifted beneath the afternoon sky. The turtle followed the gentle creek. A little seed rested upon the old shell, thinking about the faded pink trace. It no longer wondered who the flower was, not completely, not yet. Another question had quietly arrived. What happens after the journey? What happens after the wind? One day I will be a memory too, a tiny white traveler carried by the air. One day someone else may wonder about the path I once followed. The creek moved softly around the stones. The sunlight danced across the water. Everything seemed to be traveling, even things that appeared still. The faded flower remained, the little seed remained. The turtle continued, the paper boat continued. Different travelers, different stories. The same creek. A flower becomes a memory becomes a story becomes a current, moving through another life. One day I will be a memory too, not lost, not gone.
little seed rested quietly. The turtle walked quietly. The paper boat drifted quietly. And somewhere inside the afternoon light, a future memory began its journey. The next wind. This wind feels different. The little seed whispered, I think it's my turn. The turtle walked slowly through the shallow creek. The paper boat drifted through patches of sunlight. The little seed rested upon the old shell, listening to the afternoon. Then a new breeze arrived, not stronger, not louder, just different. Like a page turning without a sound. The creek continued, the turtle continued, the paper boat continued, and the wind continued too. This wind feels different. The little seed whispered, I think it's my turn. Not because I must, not because I should, only because the air is calling. The faded flower remained, the shell remained, the creek remained, and nothing was ending. The world was simply making room for another journey. The seed looked once toward the paper boat, once toward the water, once toward the shell, then toward the sky. A traveler recognizes another road. Some follow water, some follow wind, some follow sunlight through the afternoon. No path is higher, no path is lower, only different. This wind feels different. The little seed whispered, I think it's my turn. The turtle walked on, the paper boat drifted on, and the sky opened one more doorway. The seed loosened slightly, not flying, not yet, but ready. For the first time, truly ready. Leaving the shell, and the wind answered. The afternoon drifted across the creek. The paper boat floated through scattered sunlight. The turtle walked slowly between smooth stones. And resting on the shell, the little seed listened to the arriving breeze. It was not the strongest wind, not the fastest, not the loudest, yet somehow it carried exactly the right invitation. The creek below, the sky above, the space between suddenly opened. Thank you, little turtle, the seed whispered. Thank you, little creek. Thank you, little boat. Then the wind answered, and the journey changed. The seed lifted gently, no struggle, no fear. One moment resting upon the shell, the next floating above it. The turtle continued walking, the paper boat continued drifting. Neither stopped, neither called out. Travelers understand that some roads must separate. Below, water carried stories. Above, wind carried stories. The little seed belonged to both for just a moment. Thank you, little turtle, the seed whispered. Thank you, little creek. Thank you, little boat. The afternoon smiled, the wind smiled, and the sky welcomed one more traveler. Higher, a little higher. The shell became smaller, the paper boat became smaller. The creek became a ribbon of moving light, and the little seed began a journey that belonged only to the sky. The river in the sky. I thought the creek was the only river. I was wrong. The little seed floated
higher into the afternoon. The turtle became smaller. The paper boat became smaller. Even the creek began to look like a silver thread woven through green. The wind carried softly, not pushing, not pulling, simply moving. The seed had never known that the sky itself could flow. A river below, a river above, both traveling towards somewhere unseen. I thought the creek was the only river. I was wrong. There is a river inside the sky, invisible, endless, always moving. Cloud shadows drifted across distant fields. A hawk circled far away. Tall grasses swayed below. Everything seemed to be floating within the same great current. The little seed spun gently, not lost, not falling, not searching, simply following the path written inside the afternoon wind. The creek carries boats. The wind carries seeds. The sunlight carries memories, and the world carries all of them together. I thought the creek was the only river. I was wrong. The sky has rivers too. And today, for the very first time, I am sailing one. The turtle disappeared around a bend. The paper boat drifted onward. The creek shimmered below and high above them all. The little seed continued downstream upon the river of air. Missing the creek. The creek looked smaller today. The little seed smiled and missed it anyway. The wind carried softly through the afternoon sky. The little seed drifted between clouds and sunlight. Far below
creek appeared as a thin silver ribbon woven through the earth. Once it had seemed enormous, endless, mysterious. Now it looked small enough to follow with a single glance. Yet somehow it felt even more precious. Distance changes size, not meaning. The creek looked smaller today. The little seed smiled and missed it anyway. The water, the stones, the paper boat, the turtle, all still traveling below. A warm current lifted the little traveler higher. The world widened again. Fields appeared, trees appeared, shadows drifted slowly across distant hills. The sky had become a wonderful place. The seed knew that still. Sometimes a traveler looks back, not because they regret leaving, but because they are grateful. The wind carried forward, the memory carried backward, and somewhere between them the little seed floated, perfectly at peace. The creek looked smaller today. The little seed smiled and missed it anyway. Not with sadness, not with longing, just with kindness. Far below, the paper boat continued. Far below, the turtle continued. Far below, the creek continued. And high above, the little seed carried all of them. Inside the wind, the paper boat drifts beneath the afternoon sun. Clear water flows around smooth stones. Golden reflections wander slowly across the creek bed. Inside the boat, the white dandelion remains perfectly round. A floating lantern made of tiny journeys, a small white world holding 100 skies. The breeze returns gentle, playful, barely enough to move the grass, yet enough its quiet song. Dragonflies drift between sunlight and shadow. The paper boat rocks gently, the white crown trembles gently. The tiny seed waves higher than the others, closer to the air, closer to the sky, closer to somewhere it has never seen. A cloud passes slowly, its shadow crosses the water below. The creek darkens, then brightens again. The paper boat continues around another bend. The breeze touches the white crown once more. The tiny seed sways, the others remain still, as if the wind has whispered a secret meant for only one traveler. The paper boat drifts onward, the dandelion remains whole. Not a single seed has left yet, high above the ground. One tiny traveler faces the sky for a little longer than the rest. Someday, water again. One day, I will become water again. The cloud said softly. The little seed drifted beside the wandering cloud. Afternoon sunlight glowed across white edges. The sky seemed endless, the wind seemed endless. The journey continued. Move slowly, changing shape, changing color, changing size, yet never seeming to disappear, only becoming something new. The seed listened, the wind listened, even the sunlight seemed to listen. Become water again, the cloud said softly. Perhaps a raindrop, perhaps a stream, perhaps a river. You have not yet seen. The little seed looked down far below. The silver creek still wandered between stones and patches of green. A thin ribbon, a familiar ribbon. The clouds smiled, not with a face, not with words, only with drifting shadows moving across the world below. Water becomes cloud, cloud becomes rain, rain becomes creek. The creek becomes a journey. The journey becomes a story, and stories continue. The cloud said softly, the little seed said nothing, yet somehow the afternoon felt larger than before. The cloud drifted onward, the little seed drifted onward, far below. The creek shimmered, and somewhere between sky and water, a new question began to grow. The paper boat drifts into quieter water. The current slows, the creek widens, sunlight gathers between long ribbons of moving grass. The white dandelion rests inside the boat, still complete, still holding every tiny traveler. The small seed near the top continues watching the open sky. Then a shadow passes quickly, silently across the water. A dragonfly, blue as the afternoon, its wings flash once above the creek. Silver, blue, silver again, then gone. Its reflection breaks apart inside the ripples below. For a moment there seemed to be two dragonflies, one above, one inside the water. The white dandelion trembles, the little seed watches, the paper boat rocks gently, the creek carries everything a little farther downstream. Grasses sway along the creek bank. Small fish disappear between patches of sunlight. The dragonfly lands upon a stone, only briefly, only long enough for the afternoon to notice. Blue wings, white crown, paper boat, clear water. For a moment all four belong to the same picture. The dragonfly lifts again, the shadow disappears, the shimmer remains, the paper boat drifts onward and high upon the white crown. One little traveler continues looking upward. The paper boat drifts beneath open sky. The creek runs clear, so clear that clouds seem to float. Inside the water, the white dandelion rests quietly within the boat. The afternoon glows around its round crown. Not a single seed is left, not yet. The little traveler near the very top leans slightly toward the wind, toward the sky, toward somewhere unseen. Then a ripple passes, only one, small, almost invisible. The reflection changes. A tiny white seed appears below, a
water. The reflected crown breaks apart, then slowly becomes whole again. Tiny white travelers scatter across the ripples before gathering once more. The little seed watches, listening, learning. The water changes shape without ever becoming something else. Above the creek, below the creek, one sky, two worlds. The ripple disappears, the reflection settles, the second traveler remains inside the water. And for the first time, the little seed wonders if every journey has more than one path. The paper boat drifts through a brighter part of the creek. The water widens, the sunlight deepens, and suddenly the afternoon breaks apart into 1,000 pieces of gold. Tiny reflections dance across the water, across the stones, across the white crown of the dandelion. Every movement creates another fragment, every ripple creates another sun. The little traveler near the top watches the light, not the sky, not the water, only the moving gold between them. A thousand tiny suns drift beside the boat. A thousand tiny suns ride the creek downstream. The dragonfly returns briefly, its shadow crosses the golden fragments, the reflections scatter, then gather again. As if sunlight itself is learning to play, the paper boat rocks gently, the white crown sways gently. The creek continues its patient song. Everything seems ordinary, everything seems magical.
continue their journey through the creek. The paper boat emerges slowly from the green tunnel. Sunlight returns wide, warm, everywhere. The creek brightens instantly. The water becomes glass again. Golden fragments scatter across the current and dance between stones. The white dandelion glows inside the boat. The little traveler near the top of the crown looks toward the open sky. Then something yellow moves across the water. Not a leaf, not a flower, not a reflection, only a small piece of sunlight floating above the creek. Of sunlight, a drifting flame, a golden whisper moving through the afternoon. It rises, falls, turns once, turns again. The paper boat watches, the white crown watches, the creek watches too. The yellow shape passes through a beam of light. For a moment it disappears completely. Sunlight inside, sunlight inside, gold inside gold. The little traveler leans slightly higher, watching, listening, wondering. The yellow shape moves without hurry, as if it belongs equally to air and light. The creek bends gently, the paper boat follows, the yellow shape follows too. Not leading, not following, simply sharing the afternoon. White crown, white boat, green water, golden wings. The yellow traveler crosses the creek once more. The sunlight catches it,